Paul Ferguson, Richard Beaupre is here once again. Welcome to Day 10, the quarterfinals of the 1993 World Ice Hockey Championships from Munich in Germany. Out on the ice now, the Americans against the Swedes. The Swedes finished second in Pool A and the Americans third in Pool B. It's a crisscross affair between the two groups. The winner moves on to the semifinal and the losers go home.
That's absolutely right. These teams have played 5 games each, and it's all down to knockout competition. You've got to win to keep playing.
Well, this style of final was introduced last year, and it's much improved on what came before, sometimes before you knew the gold medalist, long before the final game. Now it's down to the final, which will be covered on Eurosport on May the 2nd, as will all the games up until that time. So stay with us. At one end of the rink, it's Tommi SÖDERSTRÖM. You're looking at Michael Richter, New York Rangers star. They're staying with him despite a fine performance by Michael Dunham in the first game against the Czechs. Richter, more experienced, both at the international level and the NHL level. Been around for 5 years in the National Hockey League. Moreno is the referee as the Americans play from left to right.
Quick stats on Richter. Richter's played in 3 games. He's allowed 8 goals, 91.1% of his saves. Shots on goal have been 90.
So he's certainly seen enough rubber to get him into the deep end of this international competition.
His goals against are 2.70. Söderström in the Swedish goal has 3.59 goals against. He's got an 84% saves percentage so far in the games.
Rundqvist tapped that in the far corner. The Americans try to get it out of their zone. That's held in right through the circle of chance right in front. And that's a big goal for the Swedes in the opening stages. Renberg, 26-year-old, 6'2", 185 pounds, gets his first touch in the back of the net.
I was just about to say, Paul, that Waite, Gaudreau, and Podine are going to be counted on heavily for the Americans. First shift on the ice. They're out to lunch, and the Swedes are on the scoreboard. Renberg finishes it off beautifully on a pass from Michael Anderson. 2-0 with Richter. Well, what are the odds in Richter's favor? None at all. The poor guy doesn't even have a touch, and he's been beaten for a goal.
The Americans were on their way down to the other end of the rink. They looked around and saw that Richter was all alone. Going in after now is Nylander. Nylander being closely followed by Ulf Dahlin, and the Americans try to settle it down with Weinrich.
Renberg, the goal scorer, very stocky kid who the Americans are going to see a lot more of. He's 20 years old. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists in these games, and he's highly touted by the NHL scouts.
Dahlin coming up on the inside is Nylander. Dahlin chases Weinrich. Weinrich taps it up to Modano. Modano still looking for his first goal of the competition. Gives that over to Olczyk, and that's intercepted. That took a nice bounce for Olczyk, and he backsims it in. Modano takes a shot. Söderström got the save right in front. A chance up for Olczyk as that ends up underneath Tommi ＳÖDERSTRÖM. Turcotte lying right down there along with Söderström. Oh, what an explosive start to this first period.
I hope it isn't going to continue this way. A 2-0 at one end is a goal. A 2-0, the same situation nearly at the other end of the ice, and the Americans get nothing out of it. Modano and Turcotte all around the front of Söderström's goal, but can't find the back of the net.
The $1 million boys have not been scoring.
They've been struggling. Modano, Turcotte, Eddie Olczyk. A lot is expected of them. They're going to have a big performance today.
Sacco from the face-off as that trickles over the red line. It comes all the way back onto Howard's stick. Howard tips it into the corner. Lazaro is muscled out of the play, but the Americans hang on to it. Amonte moving along the boards. Amonte poking. Amonte going after it. Going in there is number 21, Sacco. Sacco against Bloomston. Howard chips up. Long shot coming in from Lazaro. Sacco taken out of the play nicely by Forsberg. Forsberg showing that he can score goals and also play a little physical behind the goal. Coming up now, the Swedes get back on the attack. That goal certainly has put the Americans into this game. Lazaro shoots it over onto the near side, and the Swedes try to bat it right in front of the goal as Amonte skates out to the blue line to take up his position. Hauer squeezes his man out of the plate. Nilsson tries to get it out front. Richter along the boards. Richter squeezed out of the play, and a chance now for Larson. Right out front. Nilsson let the shot go. Ulen moving up from his point position, and the Swedes with those mobile defense are causing a few problems for the Americans. Stillman got it forward. Larson tips it in, and a chance now for Richards. Richards loses control, gets it back again, bangs it off the boards. Johnson is there, but he can't control it. That goes off a skate. Kenholt let the shot go. A fast and wild start to this opening first period. Plante tickles that away from Ulen, but Ulen gets himself back into it. Boy, this one is physical right from the opening face-off. Big shot comes in, and the Americans with Plante steering it up on the left side. A chance for Moran as he flips it all the way in. Söderström lets that go. Plante went in to try to break it up, and it's shot all the way down the ice.
Moran going back to receive the puck. Icing has been called. We finally have a stoppage in play. Both teams have really come out of the gates flying. The first break is gone to the Swedes, but the Americans are skating equally as hard.
Richter coming out nicely to cut down the angle and force that shot. Doug Waite in the face-off circle against Rundqvist. Anderson now for Sweden. Rundqvist calling for it, breaking to the far side. Nylander. Anderson slows it down, tries to thread the eye of the needle as that comes through. Anderson goes back one way. Working in the corner is Podine. Anderson got it all the way back, and Gaudreau taken out of the play heavily. Big whistle on the play. Gaudreau was hung out to dry on that one.
Hooking the call as Gaudreau tried to get out over his own blue line, was interfered with by Peter Anderson. The Americans will have the first power play opportunity of this game.
Take a look at this. Anderson gets the stick in there. Gaudreau makes a bit of a meal of it, but he wants Moreno to know that he was hooked, and he got his call.
Gaudreau showing the value of some of the figure skating instructors that get involved with a lot of ice hockey teams in America, putting a nice spin around on, convincing the ref that the stick was really in there. Nevertheless, he's got what he wants, and the U.S. have a power play.
Olczyk steps into the face-off circle up against Berglund. Olczyk, as that comes all the way back to Gaudreau, who's taken up the position on the blue. Modano working with Turcotte. That comes all the way back to the American blue line. No one there to pick it up. Weinrich goes deep. Weinrich being shadowed by Gollin. 1:38 left on the penalty. The Americans trying to set something up, trying to get a shot on goal. Olczyk puts it in the corner. Turcotte is there. Turcotte get out of the play, and it comes all the way back to the blue. A chance now for Modano. Modano looking for the give and go. And that didn't happen. That went off a skate. Gaudreau shoots it back into the corner. The Americans with 1:18 now on the power play. Modano not taking the shots. Right in front is Turcotte. Oh! And Weinrich perhaps a little too close when he threw that pass at Turcotte, and the shot didn't come.
The Americans guilty of making one too many passes a couple of times. They need shots.
A chance now for the Swedes. Richter just got a piece of that. Close to becoming a shorthanded goal. All the way down the ice, and the Americans having problems stringing this power play together. Weinrich is dispossessed. Sacco comes back to help out, throws it up front. A chance now for Podine. Podine lets the shot go upstairs. Söderström puts it out front. Not a great clearance from him. Amonte moving in. That comes over to Beers. Tapped into the corner. Back to Waite. Waite slows it down. Boise got a chance to shoot, and he does. Took a deflection. Beers over the far side. Here's a gentle tap into the corner. Podine is there. He's got UMoney to help out. Waite calling for it, and he gets it. Waite slows it down. A one-timer comes in. That's in the net. Oh, that was upstairs. Beers from way back at the blue line.
Exactly what the U.S. need to do is shoot the puck. Plain and simply, get it away. Soderstrom has to see it. Soderstrom has to handle it. You never know what happens. You've got to shoot. Good work from Doug Waite. Tony Amonte around the back of the goal. Puck is fed back. Bob Beers wastes no time getting this one off. Podine is right in front. Between Podine and the Swedish defenseman, Soderstrom didn't have a chance. The PA announcing the goal to Bob Beers. That very possibly went off. Podine in front of the goal.
We'll wait for an amendment on that if it comes. Hatcher being shadowed by Larson. Beers gets credit for the power play goal. Hatcher throws that over onto the left side. 1-1 is the score. Well, we anticipated a high-flying game between these two teams. And boy, this is incredible. Right in front. The backhander Soderstrom spins around. Johnson motoring in front. And the Swedes now looking vulnerable in front of their own net.
I like this line for the U.S. that's out there now. Johnson, Plant, and Drury. Three guys that really hustle all over the ice.
Face-off moves back into USA territory. Kurt Lundmark, the Swedish coach, will not be concerned with what he's seen out there. He saw a great start, and then the Americans come back as anticipated. He's a cool character, as are all of the Swedish players and coaching personnel. They certainly do take their time. They know the game is not over till it's over. An old cliche, but they left it late last year and came up with a goal, so they're not sweating it this year. Goes into the corner. Podine taps that. A chance now for the Americans as they set it up. Podine calling for it back in the corner. Beers waiting for the pass. Waite throws it right into the slot, and that's intercepted. The Swedes with the long shot in by Ackerström. Chipped away. Weinrich gets it out. Podro tried to steal that off of Blomstrom. Rundqvist circles back. Waite goes after him. Rundqvist is taken off the puck and somehow gets it right back again. Flipped over to Ardo Blomsten. Blomsten drops it back onto the D, and the shadow comes from Olczyk. We're seeing some quick changes out there. It's warm outside and it's warm inside.
The crowd really getting into it. This is the kind of hockey they've been waiting for up and down the ice. Two of the best going at it right now.
Olczyk fanned on the opportunity he had on Soderstrom a moment ago. That trickled off Soderstrom's stick, and the Americans now getting organized, coming back on the attack. Modano is checked out of the play by Dolan. Berglund is taken out in the American zone. Modano with a shot on goal. Modano coming in right in front, and Soderstrom brings him down in front of the goal. Stillman goes into the far corner to pick it up, and the Americans coming up. A chance from McDonald passing it over to Turcotte, and he just didn't connect. And I said earlier on that the Swedes were vulnerable in front of the net. The Americans are certainly finding space out there.
Swedes are struggling trying to keep up with the likes of Amonte and Modano. Those guys can really fly.
The Americans coming back quickly. Right on goal. Turcotte lets the shot go. Olczyk on the far side decides to go for a change as that comes up on the wing. Nylander slams on the brakes. Nylander right in front. A chance to score! Forsberg, the youngsters string it together. Big goal for Sweden, number 2.
Excellent shot by Forsberg. You can see that the Swedes don't waste any time taking their shots. A trademark that Sweden has always been known for. Shooting on the move, through bodies, around bodies, always making it difficult for goaltenders. Forsberg keeps it right on the ice. Excellent work from Nylander. Forsberg and Naslund, the two kids playing at Modu, will certainly be in the NHL at this time next year.
Zweites Tor für Schweden. Torschütze die Nummer 21, Peter Forsberg.
Well, Forsberg is probably worth his weight in gold. This guy really has a great future. The steal there from Sacco. And the Americans go back on the D. 9 minutes gone in the first period. Sweden leading this one 2-1. Popovic got it over, a chance. Big shot coming in from Naslund. Richter got in front of it, and Amonte slows it down and goes in the opposite direction. Amonte up to Sacco. Sacco can't move along the boards. He was taken out by Forsberg. Forsberg still out there. A chance for Ackerström. Ackerström loses that at the hash marks, and Moran brings it up. A pass forward. Glove down by Söderström. Amonte getting the big slap shot way upstairs. No problem for Tommy Söderström.
Amonte around the outside, taking that pass from Moran. Got all of it. Had been out there a little while. Didn't quite have the steam to work on Popovic. Peter Popovic is a massive defenseman, well over 6'5". A good opportunity for Amonte to try and burn him, but he elected to shoot. Söderström had the glove on it.
Plants in the face-off circle, getting set for this one deep in Swedish territory. The push away there from Larsson, and that comes out of the zone. Hatcher gets it over the red, shoots it in. Ackerström over to the far wing, and the Americans come up with that. Some good forechecking there, and Drury just couldn't hang on to it. A chance now for the Swedes as they hit with two men on the blue line. Ackerström drops it back, thrown up to Ulen. Blomsten tips it in, an easy one there for Richter. That could have taken a deflection, could have been dangerous.
This game is wide open. You can certainly tell that when you've got guys like Ulen, Blomsten, Hatcher, etc., defensemen from both sides going forward. They're really trying to open the game up, and Ulen just continued right through to the goal on Blomsten's shot. Fortunately for the U.S., Richter had it with the glove.
2-1 the score, and the Swedes still leading the Americans. Here in the first period, Rundqvist gets set with weight. Rundqvist, 32 years old. And how many times have we said, this guy seems to get younger every time out. Gaudreau tapped it forward, and the Americans now breaking. Two on the blue as Waite got it over, looking for Podine. Rundqvist way back in the corner, can only get it out as far as the blue line. That shot from back of the blue comes in, is deflected away. Another one took a deflection. Howard getting a piece of that. Anderson starts it out. He's got number 29, Renberg, on the far wing. Big shot off the boards, and Waite picks it up for the USA. Waite pops it off the backboards, looking for Gaudreau, and that's stripped out of neutral ice territory. Shot away by Stillman. Stillman, who gets stronger every time we see him in international play, looking for Renberg. Stillman went in to break that up, and a long pass over for Gaudreau was batted down. The Americans, with the Swedes caught on a change, can't do anything with it. Both teams now going for the change.
It's always dangerous when the puck ends up by the benches. Guys coming off, guys jumping over the boards. Neither team getting called for too many men on that play.
Dolan letting a shot go. Weinrich picks up the rebound, bounces it away from Dolan, but can't clear it from Nylander. Nylander all the way back to the blue. Big shot comes in. Richter goes down. And the Swedes letting the shots go. Popovic. Nylander, this guy can skate. Leaves it in front for Beers. Beers brings it out, taps it forward, and the Americans now. Turcotte up to Modano. Turcotte right in front. Olczyk is there. Olczyk seems to be skating a little slowly out there. And that's wrapped around, and a whistle blows. Olczyk doesn't seem to be up to Turcotte or Modano's speed at this stage in the game.
Olczyk dueling it out in front of the goal, was pretty well tied up. Popovic looking about 3 feet down at Söderström. The Americans could really try and work on him. He's big, but maybe not as mobile as guys like Modano and Amonte. Turcotte had the time to walk around, let this one go. It's off the big skate of Popovic. Turcotte not realizing how much time he really had. He could have kept right on going toward the goal.
High flip into the zone is going to be an offside call as Bergqvist gets back to touch it. 11:43 in the first period, 2-1 the score. The Swedes leading the Americans. Renberg started things off in the first few seconds of play for Sweden, and then Beers came back on the power play effort. Pass back from Waite, and then Forsberg being set up by Nylander, and that makes it 2-1. A tap along the boards, and the Americans now trying to set it up. Going in quickly is Lazaro. Lazaro, who plays for the Ottawa Senators, but doesn't tell too many people about it, gets it back. Looking for Plant, Lazaro, and Sacco. Amonte now. Amonte right in front, a chance. Just couldn't get a handle on it. Ackerström came in to break it up, and Amonte tirelessly working out there to work something free for the Americans. Bert's back at the blue, and Amonte picks himself up and gets back into the action. Amonte with the stick out. That comes over to Bloomston. Bloomston can handle it, and the Americans will go over with Bert and shoot it right back in.
Good forechecking by the Americans. The pace of this game, I'd be curious to see whether these guys can keep it up for 60 minutes. They're really going.
Hey, never mind them. What about us?
Yeah, we haven't incorporated 4 sets of lines yet for changes for ourselves.
I think we'll have to talk to the bosses of Eurosport about that. Let's get some personnel in here every 40 seconds. They're quick changes. They know that this one is all important. The loser goes home, the winner stays around to fight again. Thrown up on the wings, the intended receiver was Johnson. That didn't happen for the Americans. Breaking quickly on the far side is Ulan. Moran being hooked and poked. Ulan comes in, he can't keep it in the zone, and the Americans take the opportunity just to dump it in. Soderstrom can't hold it in. 1 or 2 mistakes along the boards. Moran, the shot right at the pad. Soderstrom came out, cut it down.
Soderstrom doing exactly what he had to do, just coming out, keeping his stick on the ice and his legs together.
At the other end of the rink, Nilsson took the shot. The rebound came out. Richter pounces on the bobbling puck.
By the time Richter realized that Soderstrom had just made a good save, he had to come up with a couple of his own.
You're talking fast hockey out there.
We're talking fast in here.
Two to 1 the score. The Swedes leading the Americans. Here comes Nilsson. The puck bouncing nicely for Richter on that occasion. Weinrich slows it down. Weinrich waits for a little support, and the Americans coming back on the attack. Waite hits the blue line. Popovich goes back in, throws it to the far side on the backhand. Renberg, this guy can motor despite his size, runs into Gaudreau rather. Eventually the big center, Thomas Rundqvist, comes back to straighten things out. He gives it away along the boards, and Weinrich has a chance now to start it up for the Americans. Waite, a little move, getting himself free there, away from Renberg. Hodin. Everything seems to have come to a complete halt out there. Another change as Rundqvist puts it up on the left wing. Anderson hits the blue, takes up his familiar position, tries to throw it in to 26, Nylander. Nylander losing out. Turcotte to the far side. The Americans throwing the puck around nicely. Olczyk leaving it for Turcotte. 1 or 2 American fans didn't agree with that call.
26, Nylander buzzing around. Every time you see him on the ice, it reminds you of the past, with Mats Naslund being a past number 26. The two of them look a little bit alike and really play the same style of hockey. The teams coming into this game quite evenly matched. The U.S. were in Group B, the Swedes were Group A. The U.S. 2 wins, 2 ties, and a loss. The Swedes with 3 wins and 2 losses. A lot of their numbers match up. The Americans had a +4 on goal difference. The Swedes +3.
Not a lot between the two teams, and right now it's 2 to 1. Just 1 goal separates the boys. Going back down is Modano. Modano working hard. This guy is so difficult to dispossess. The American Hatcher couldn't get the shot away. He found that puck underneath him. Less than 5 minutes on the clock. Bloomston starting it up. Offside is the call. O'Tholin working with Nylander. Bloomston brought the puck over. And the Swedish supporters don't like that call, but that's the kind of reaction you would expect.
Lundsten had the right idea. He just doesn't have the jets that Nylander has. Nylander was halfway down the ice before Blomsten had the puck out of his own zone.
Tim Taylor, the coach of the American side, spends most of his time at Yale University. Monty putting it up through the middle. Sacco let that one ride, and it's tipped up in the far wing. And the Americans applying a little pressure now. The pass comes out to Forsberg. Forsberg throws it over the far side to Naslund. All the way back forward is Richter. Richter watches that come over to the far side. Right in front, a chance now. The goaltender Richter spun around. Bergqvist is there. Working in quickly was Forsberg. Oh, that was close. Ken Holt going back, rattles that off the boards. No one there with a blue shirt on to pick it up, and the Swedes settle it down behind their own goal. Ken Holt off the boards up into neutral ice territory, and the Americans with Howard starting to hit. A chance right through the middle. Big to 14. Johnson goes into the goal, but that's not going to count. He took the puck with him.
What an individual effort from Craig Johnson. Unlucky for him, as the puck did end up in the net, but he was already in there. Craig Johnson splitting through the defense, a good burst of speed and great concentration. Pulls the puck to his backhand, even though he's being hooked by about 14 players on the ice. Slides into the goal. The puck follows him into the net. The referee saying no goal.
Good call there by the officials. Sacco comes in for good measure.
I don't know if he was coming in just to have a quick word with Johnson to tell him to get out of the net before the puck came in, or if he just felt bad for him because he saw it happening.
Perhaps he thought he could just take away from Johnson being in there and the official wouldn't notice it, but Moreno too quick on that one. 2-1 remains the score.
Let's just tell the truth. Sacco didn't have any choice about sliding into the net either. He was hit just like Johnson was.
Face off in neutral ice territory. Drury leaves that one for Beers, who pumps it over to the far side. The Americans with Weinrich along the boards, running into a sea of yellow shirts. Larson got the pass from Popovich, and that comes up to number 4, Nilsson. Nilsson working it right through. Beers goes back. Ullin is way up front, and the Americans have to get back in a hurry from behind their own goal. Weinrich tapping it to the far side. Quant circles. He doesn't get the pass. It comes up to Drury. Drury looking to get it back to Beers. Beers throws it over, and the Swedes so adept at forechecking, getting in there with the high shot. That ends up on the back of the mesh, and look who's up there. Nilsson, Ullin, all buzzing around that goal. Good forechecking from Sweden.
Swedes having the last touch. Puck ending up on the netting. The face-off will come outside of Richter's end of the ice. Very, very close. You do get the feeling, though, that the U.S. will need the next goal, because the Swedes, with a 2-goal lead, could really make it difficult. Good work once again. Ullin trying to cause a lot of problems for Mike Richter.
In the neutral zone, a chance for Gaudreau. Gaudreau, with less than 3 minutes on the period, taps it all the way into the zone. Soderstrom puts it up to Anderson. A long, high, bobbling puck is going to be brought down by Hatcher. Hatcher leaves that behind his own goal. Gets the return pass, starts up, all 6'5" of them. Hatcher, a good little move, throws it forward up to the blue line, and that's as far as the Americans go. A good bit of forechecking there, and Waite comes up now. Waite with a wraparound right across the net. Gaudreau was running interference in the corner. Renberg on the far side. And Waite almost making something out of nothing there. Blomsten, the rink-wide pass. Burt getting back. Nylander out there with Renberg. Long pass to the blue line. Big shot comes in. Richter's there racing in for it. Stillman got a piece of that. Anderson was knocking on the door looking for the rebound. Olczyk. High pass into neutral ice territory. And a big steal there. A chance for the Americans with Turcotte doing a great job of forechecking.
Turcotte pickpocketing the Swedish defense, unable to pull away. Olczyk, Modano, and Turcotte have really got to get themselves going. They need to pop a goal. Modano, it's been a long time coming for him. Big guy on the big salary with the Minnesota North Stars, struggled right at the end of the regular season. The North Stars ended up not making the playoffs. He's come over here, had a lot of shots, but hasn't found the back of the goal yet.
22-year-old Modano, $6.7 million American dollars for a 4-year contract. That's more than you make.
It's almost as much as you make off doing your commentating for a week or two.
Oh, you believe that, and I got some swampland in Florida I want to sell you. Coming up to 1 minute and 35 seconds to go on the period. Shot in by Dolan, goes into the corner. The Swedes now with a lot of bodies forward. Dolan behind the net, looking for somewhere to go. Dolan one hand on the stick, runs into problems in the corner. The Americans tapping it forward along the blue. Eventually get it into Tommy Söderström's zone. And the Americans out. Olczyk fans on the shot. That came right across. Dolan comes back quickly, puts it in now to Berglund. Berglund working with Nylander. Nylander taken out of the play, the last minute of play in the period. Richter tries to get it out of the zone.
Both teams changing quickly up front again.
Popovich up to Anderson, all the way back, and the Swedes trying to complete the change. Now they've done it, now they go forward. Big hit along the boards as Beers and Weinrich go back for the Americans. Going in quickly now is Bergqvist. Back to the blue line, the wrist shot in there, Richter goes down, that bubbles beside the net. Reaching forward is Naslund, he couldn't get a handle on it, and the Americans now start out. Weinrich slow to get it out of the zone, the puck was bobbling to his benefit. Long shot off the backboards. Anderson back for the Swedes. A quick clearance out of the zone. Weinrich knows there's only 10 seconds on the period. He won't want to make any mistakes. The Swedes will be happy with the scoreline after 20 minutes of play. There goes the buzzer to end the first period, and oh, what a first period it was.
The Swedes up by a goal, very evenly contested, both sides playing excellent wide open hockey.
Will they go the distance? Will we go the distance? Renberg started it off, and then Beers leveled it up on a power play, 1-1 at that point, and then Forsberg got a nice little pass over from Nylander. 2-1 is the score after 20 minutes of hockey.
Forsberg, Nylander, Naslund, the three kids for Sweden really getting involved in the first 20 minutes of play.
Still two periods of action to come. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. Score goal number 1 in the first period. Honenberger at 10:36, putting it beyond the goaltender.
The Austrians struck first. They looked like they were going to upset the Italians. An upset would have created a lot of havoc for the Italians, as they would have been unseated by the Swiss. But Italy stayed tough.
The Italians needed a win or a tie to end up in 4th place to enter the medal rounds, and they got their tie. They beat the Swiss out and ended the Swiss opportunity of going for a medal. Tapativ, number 27, scored the tying goal here in the third period, and that's all they needed to end up in 4th place. The Austrians ended up in 6th, with the Swiss in 5th.
The Swiss had pulled off a big win over the Swedes, 6-4, and were desperately hoping the Italians would lose, but it wasn't to be.
Well, a game that we commentated on last night was Norway against France, and what a game this was. The Norwegians surprised a lot of people with their goal-scoring efforts and prowess out there. They're noted for their hitting and their defensive play. Richer started things off for the French. Number 25, the captain, made it 1-0. But then Gunnarsson for Norway came right back into the game. As we take a look at the replay with Richet's goal, Gunnarsson now getting a big goal for Norway.
Both teams heading to the relegation round of play, but loosening up and relaxing. The offense flowing for both sides. Goal number 1 for Norway coming off Gundersson's stick. Finally, he had 4 shots at it.
It was a long time coming, but big number 13 eventually puts it in the back of the net. There's one swipe at it. He misses the second one, goes after the third one, doesn't hit the puck, and eventually on the 4th attempt puts it in the back of the net. That made it 1-1. And Laporte now is the man who puts the puck in the net. It was on its way there, but number 14 just trickles that one over the red line. Another power play goal, and it's 2-1.
Norway unable to do anything with Pajankowski's original shot. Laporte comes in unmarked, and he has the second French goal.
Second period action now. Almasy picks it up and taps that in. A big mistake there by Jim Martinson, the goaltender. He was eventually pulled out of the net, and Skistad was put in, but this one, well, has to be down to him. He waited for the puck to come in. The bounce should have been grabbed. He played with it, stayed on his knees. Boy, what was he thinking?
Tough position for a goaltender to get himself into. Once he's there, he's at the point of no return. Martinson just hoping the puck's going to hit him. Trying to find it. One player on the ice knows where it is, and that was Almasy.
That made it 3-1, and everyone thought the French were going to walk away with this one. Another power play goal for the Norwegians put them on the scoreboard again. Big shot from Solsten, and Christensen got the touch.
Petter Solsten letting it rip from the blue line. Nice tip by Christensen, and the Norwegians were right back in it.
Third period action now. One of our favorites, Rath, setting things up to level the score. This guy really has played well.
He has been very impressive. Finally gets a break and scores a nice power play goal, tying the score for Norway.
3 power play goals for the French. You think the penalties are hurting them?
They certainly are. The next one is even going to hurt the French more. The Norwegians with a man in the box.
Short-handed goal here. Christensen coming up big. Keep your eye on the French defenseman. Lost his stick here and didn't get a lot of cover.
Bad break for Poudrier as he's without a stick. LeBlanc late coming across to help. Christensen's already made his move, and Ilonen is beaten.
It's now France's turn to shine. Power play situation out there. Pajankowski left in front of the goal, and he tips it in.
The French not giving up by any means, wanting that 5th spot just as badly as the Norwegians did. Pajankowski with the final say.
That made it 4-4, and then both teams had their opportunities, but it was down to Christensen in the empty net. That's 5-4, and the Norwegians come up with a big win.
You'd have to wonder why they pull their goalie with a level score, while on goal difference, a tie would have beaten the French anyways. They had to go for the victory.
That's the way it ended up after the first round of hockey here. We're going to take a break now. We'll be back with more action from Munich in a moment. Welcome back to the start of the second period here in Munich. The teams coming out on the ice. The scoreline right in front of you, 2-1. The Swedes are leading the Americans, and boy, what a fast period that was. It was physical, close checking at times, and almost as a contradiction, very wide open at times.
Very wide open indeed. One penalty going against the Swedes, resulting in a power play goal for the U.S. Neither team are going to be willing or wanting to take penalties in this game. I said before about statistically the teams being very close. From the power play standpoint, out of 12 teams in the tournament, the U.S. are rated 3rd. The Swedes are rated 4th. On the penalty kill, the Americans are 4th. The Swedes are 9th. That's the one department where the Swedes have been lacking.
Both teams with their Nice mixture of international stars and NHL stars really pulling out all the stops in this one. The Americans will be playing from right to left out there as V.Moreno, the Swiss referee, calls them together. Well, we hope you're enjoying this one. It's just one of two games that'll be on Eurosport today. Later on this evening, it's Russia against Germany. Boy, that's going to be a game to watch in front of a capacity crowd here in Munich. They're going to close down the city for that one. The Germans are playing well, and the Russians are building in strength and in character. Pushed away as Anderson brought it in right in front of Richter. The Americans with Gaudreau getting it out of the zone. Shooting it deep. Kenneth Kenholt goes back for Sweden, and that's tipped up to Rundqvist. Rundqvist, a little throw onto the right side, looking for Anderson. Anderson gets it over the blue, and the Americans have to go back. Waite breaks to the far side. Hatcher runs into trouble in the corner along the boards, and the Americans happy just to try to get it out. Kenholt came in to jam the boards, and that's thrown over the far side. From the top of the circle, big shot. Stillman got a piece of that. That deflects along the boards, and the Swedes seem to be moving in this second period. The Americans are a little flat-footed out there. Vert couldn't get it up the boards. Hatcher looking for Podine. Hatcher skates through the water back behind that goal. Hatcher moves deceptively along the boards, gets it into Swedish territory. The first minute of play is gone. We saw a goal scored by Renberg in the first minute of the first period. Right in front, Nylander. A cheeky move by him, and the Americans now, three guys hitting the red line, and a great move there by Kenholt. A chance now right in front. Richter goes down. The loose puck is there underneath number 26, Nylander, as Dolan skates around looking for a little freedom out there.
I've said before that Nylander reminds me a lot of Mats Naslund. He's all over the place. The Americans just can't seem to hit him. Finally, at the end of the shift, he ends up on his backside and in about a half a foot of water behind the goal. That might slow him up a little bit, but this guy can really motor, and he's untouchable.
Played last season with Hartford, 59 games, 11 goals and 22 assists. Drafted number 4 in 91. Unlucky not to break right through on Richter. Richter was already committed.
Richter way out of his goal to try and stop Nylander himself.
Rather an unusual face mask, protecting the jaw and the neck. I imagine that's going to be adopted by more and more youngsters after seeing this competition. It takes something like that. Well, we talked about the water behind the net. Hatcher had problems going through it. Now they're clearing it off. And I was going to finish the sentence I was about to finish a moment ago. It takes something like that from a young, stylish forward or defenseman in a tournament like this to attract others' attention. So I'm sure a lot of youngsters will be looking at that helmet and saying, well, hey, it's not such a bad idea to be protected out there. Maybe I'll go for one of those. You're from the old school, I know. You like to go out there with a little beanie on your hat, or a beanie on your head, rather, and say, here I am, come and get me.
Why waste part of the egg? You've eaten the inside, use the outside for something.
They've cleared the water away. We're getting set for the face-off to the left of Richter as he looks down the ice. 2-1 the score. The second period well and truly underway. The Swedes are leading it. Forsberg in the face-off. The big line out there for the Americans. Weinrich skates right through the circle. Forsberg ties up his man. Shot coming in. Richter grabs that with a glove hand.
Once again, one of the kids on the move, 19, Naslund. It's Marcus Naslund. Drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins in 91, who I'm sure will probably be signing the dotted line before long. Maybe fancies his chances of playing with Mario Lemieux. Quick backhander by him through a crowd. Richter with a glove save.
We'll do the face-off all over again. Bergqvist steps into the circle. Again, the Americans trying to just tie it up, and it scoots all the way down the ice. Icing is the call. And the puck will go back into American territory here in the second period. The Swedes, in their opening encounter, beat the Austrians 1-0, then lost to the Canadians 4-1. They beat 6-2 over the Italians. I'm having trouble with my own writing here. And then against the Russians, it was 5-2, with the Swedes coming out on top. They then lost to the Swiss 6-4. What happened there? Did they care about that final game? Who knows? A chance now with a one-on-one situation. Turcotte scores!
The big line for the U.S. on the scoreboard. Turcotte getting that one away quickly, possibly taking notes on what some of the Swedes have been doing.
We talked a moment ago about the $1 million guys out there not pulling their weight. It's not that they haven't been skating, it's just that they haven't been scoring.
Turcotte doing a good job of waiting and waiting, finally snapping the puck past Söderström. Taking a look, Söderström partly wondering, is he going to go with the pass or the shot? Confirmed, he goes with the shot. Turcotte has the goal.
Beers picks up the assist. He scored the first goal, so Beers, the big defenseman, is having a good game out there. Howard gets over the blue, the long pass through, goes all the way down the ice. Beers, who plays his hockey in Tampa Bay, is doing well here with the Americans this afternoon. 2:07, the time of the goal. And Coach Tim Taylor working alongside John Cuniff, ex-New Jersey Devil coach, must be a lot happier with what's going on out there. Both coaches are experienced and will not panic, as I said in the first period. Nilsson brought down by Hauer. Richter pins his man against the boards. Nilsson gets up on his feet. That's left on the side for Sacco. Sacco tips it up. Tenholt gets in there, has a save, pushed away by number 20, Larson. All the way back in front of the American zone. Pushing forward is Patrick Uhlin. The Americans slowing it down. A 2-2 ball game out there as Amonte gets forward. Amonte looking for the return pass. They decided to go to Richards. That didn't happen. And Nilsson couldn't get a handle on that in the neutral zone. Amonte breaks down the far side. Howard feeds it forward. The Americans now coming forward with confidence. Right in front is number 21, Sacco, and couldn't get the shot away. Back on the attack, the Swedes turn it right around. Richter is there. Ackerström let that one fly. Bounces off the pads all the way out to the blue line. And both teams capable of the quick release.
The Americans with that important tying goal. I said earlier in the game, after the Swedes had taken the 2-1 lead, the Americans certainly didn't want to get down by 2 goals. They've leveled it, and it's wide open action once again.
Waite wraps it around. Boy, this guy Waite certainly has impressed me. How many times have I said that? He moved from New York to Edmonton, 17 goals, 21 assists. Came second in the scoring in the Edmonton lineup, second to Peter Klima.
Certainly proving to everybody that he was worthy of the trade for Esa Tikkanen. Lazaro being helped through the goal by Rundqvist. Söderström escapes, luckily. Waite with no goals so far, but 5 assists, 5 points for the Americans. His line mates Gaudreau and Podine are right up there in the scoring as well. Podine with 4 points, Gaudreau leading the team with 6.
Anderson goes back in. Gaudreau takes a swipe at him. A good clearance there by Rundqvist. Rundqvist going up against Burt. Rundqvist does a 360, looking for somewhere to go. Trying to find number 3, Popovich, and that was intercepted nicely. The Americans breaking forward. Anderson got back in there with the big reach. Boy, is he fast.
Speaking of fast, Darian Hatcher, for a guy that's about 6'9" by the time he puts his skates on, is showing how quick he is. He cut the pass off and then got involved on the offense, nearly picking up the pass.
Peter Anderson, number 55, 31 years old, playing like a teenager out there. That comes all the way down to Hatcher. Hatcher taps it along the boards. Thrown through by Podine. Bloomston goes after it in the corner. The shadow coming from Turcotte. Over onto the near side. The Swedes now working it up. Three men hitting the blue. Nylander slams on the brakes, gets it back into the slot. Richter makes the save. Renberg was right there. Dolan moved in quickly, looking for something to shoot at.
Richter doing a good job of holding his ground. The Americans at one end, the Swedes quickly coming back to the other end. Dolan, Renberg, Nylander applying a lot of pressure. His defense trying to block the shot. It's Richter who makes the save, though.
Richter gets set as that one bounces past Bloomston. He puts it over to Ackerstrom. Ackerstrom sticks it up along the boards. Nylander's brought down. Renberg, pardon me, is brought down. Tipped up on the wing. Here comes Nylander. Nylander makes a complete circle, takes it into the slot area. Clever move, shot on goal. Richter feeds that away off the plexi now, and the Swedes come back with it with Bloomston. Boy, this guy Nylander certainly does have the moves out there. He's got the wheels to make things happen for Sweden. Modano pass up to Turcotte, and offside is the call as Turcotte went over the blue before the puck.
Just behind Darren Turcotte, had that pass been ahead of him, he probably would have been gone for a breakaway. The idea was right. Modano's pass just not quite reaching Turcotte as he went over the blue line.
From the face-off, Richter taps that in behind his goal. Sacco gets back to pick it up. Throws it up onto the right side. Long pass up in the middle intended for Lazaro. That's knocked away from him. And a chance now for Lazaro as he picked it up on the boards. Looking for Amonte in front. Amonte is right there. Amonte running interference now, trying to get it away from Kenhoff, but he can't do that. Shot all the way down the ice. Howard with Richter waiting out front. Sacco comes back and picks it up for the Americans. This guy certainly has improved through the tournament. Lazaro has it poked away from him and will have another face-off in neutral ice territory.
A good flow being created by the U.S. The Swedes, to their credit, are doing a good job of holding them right at the blue line, though. The Swedes very strong on defense with guys like Stillman and Kenholt. Really can poke check or get the body out all the time.
From the face-off, the Swedes now working it up on the right side. Peter Popovich moving along with that lazy long stride. A chance now for Plant. Plant drops it back, and the Americans trying to feed the long pass through. Drury goes over the line. Popovich is there. Everyone waiting, expecting a whistle. That didn't happen. One or two whistles from the crowd, and the Americans have to get back in a hurry. Moran going after Ulen. And on this occasion, the whistle blows, and one or two voices will cry out, what about down the other end of the rink? What was that all about?
That's exactly what they're screaming about. No call at one end, offsides on the other. Play directed at the American goal by the Swedes. Accidentally, Drury taking Craig Johnson out of the play.
What are you told when you're a coach? You go and you go and you go until you hear the whistle. Everyone relaxed there, expecting something, anticipating something that didn't occur. When you hear that whistle, then it's safe to stop. Hatcher.
Did you ever have to tell me that, Paul?
Long pass forward up to the blue line. Hatcher goes after his man. All the way back to Popovich. Just pushed over into the far corner. Popovich with a lot of time to shoot out there. Played along the boards, and now the Swedes are setting it up nicely. Burt goes in. Gaudreau goes in. Hatcher getting the high hook. Larson is in there with the stick. There's going to be a penalty against the Swedes. The arm is up, the goalie is out. That's going to cost them 2 minutes.
The Americans have scored one power play goal in this game. Now a chance for a second. Larson going to the penalty box. He's the leader on the Swedish team for penalty minutes. He's got 12 minutes so far. You can add 2 more, 14 minutes for Larson in penalties. Larson all over Darian Hatcher. The stick is in there. Hatcher makes sure it's going to stay by squeezing his arm down on it. The referee has seen enough, and Larson goes for hooking.
Penalty Sweden, player number 20, Jan Larsson, receives 2 minutes for high sticking. Time 20.
Well, he called that a high stick. It could have been either hooking or high sticking. The stick to hook him under the armpit. He's 6'5". You got to get it up high. So I guess that figures.
They would have waved that off on you and I. It would have been about a foot over our head.
Modano hits the blue. Modano breaks over to the right side. All the way back to the blue line. The Americans unable to keep it in. Gaudreau has to go to the far side. That's a giveaway. A chance now with a 2-on-2 situation. Anderson being held out of the play. And the Americans get back in numbers and break it up. Turcotte steps over the red line, fires it in off the boards, and the Americans just keeping it in inside the blue line. Olczyk feeds it in. The pass unable to come for Turcotte. Modano's there too, and that eludes all 3 of them. Richter comes out and gives it to Gaudreau. Quick change for Anderson. Gaudreau to Weinrich. Weinrich, slow pass to the far side to Waite. Waite goes out there. This guy can make things happen. Stillman stays on him. Waite, rink-wide pass. Weinrich takes the shot. Boy, Söderström didn't see that. Comes back to Waite at the far side. Dolan is all over him. Steals the puck, and here comes Dolan. 41 seconds on the penalty to Larson. The Americans unable to get some good shots as Amonte goes in, drops it back. Amonte breaks behind the net. That comes all the way back to the blue line. Beers, who's been instrumental in all the goals. Big shot! How did that not go in? Beers again. Works in front. Again a shot. That misses the near side. Sacco goes in. Sacco trying to get something going. Got it in front of the net, and the Swedes happy just to dump it.
The crowd screaming for a penalty on Podin as he was tied up with the Swedish defender. The referee not signaling a call, and action continues with the Swedes getting their 5th player back on the ice.
Waite tries to break through a sea of yellow jersey out there. A chance now for Larson going in. Bergqvist taken out of the play, and the Americans getting back with Amonte doing some good back checking on Bergqvist. Sacco helping out in the final stages of that play, but boy, action at both ends, and it just shows you, Richard, how quickly these teams can counter.
Absolutely right. Larson, fresh out of the penalty box, created a good opportunity for himself and Bergqvist. Bergqvist had just gotten off the bench for Sweden, so they had completed their change. The Americans wanted to get fresh guys out. They'd been out there for a while on the power play, so the smart thing to do was to ice the puck and get a whistle.
The officials trying to remove something from the ice. Every once in a while, a little debris, perhaps from a stick, or maybe a chip will occur. And on this occasion, it's just a little hole there, a nick, so they patch it up, and we're ready to play. Face-off in American territory, 2-2 the score here in the second period. This is live from Munich on Eurosport. That comes back, big shot comes in, kicked away. Marcus Naslund got a piece of that. That's fed through, looking for Johnson. Shot from a sharp angle. Plant unable to score from there. Perhaps a deflection. Plant now, midway point through the period, feeds it in. Drury goes after along with Johnson. The 3 youngsters for the Americans taking on Naslund. Naslund, a lovely pass to the far side. Here come the Swedes. Howard goes back. Richter makes the save. How did Forsberg get the shot away? Richter again. on Kenholt. He let that one go upstairs.
The play coming right to Richter. The face-off will come outside of the zone. Things getting rough. Johnson and Kenholt having words. Swedish players being pushed into the crease.
Forsberg goes into the penalty box for Sweden. It is a bit of a battle zone out there in front and behind the nets.
Strafzeit USA. Der Spieler mit Nummer 5, Brett Howard.
Even though we've got a wide open contest, when the action gets to the front of the goal, there's no way it's going to be wide open in front of either team's net. Howard and Forsberg really having shots at each other. Both teams with a man in the penalty box.
So Brett Howard
USA player number 5
sits for 2 minutes.
Receives 2 minutes for cross-checking.
Cross-checking is the call, and Forsberg also gets 2 minutes.
Forsberg receives 2 minutes for interference.
His call is interference.
30 minutes, 40 seconds.
This will open things up. A chance now for the Swedes to bring it out of their own zone. Fed right through, splitting the eye of the needle. Big shot. Another shot comes in. Richter, 1, 2, 3, 4 saves on Patrick Uhlin. Another one there. Richter goes down again. Uhlin right in front. Oh, big stuff from Richter. Where were the American defensemen?
Outstanding job by Mike Richter. Uhlin will be going to the bench, not because his legs are tired, because his arms are sore from all the shots he's had.
There he goes. He cracks the stick over the boards. Boy, is he disappointed. Listen to the applause in the background for Richter. Watch this.
American defense. Hatcher is down on the ice. Nobody else is around. 2 shots for Uhlin. Richter so quick. Excellent reflexes by Mike Richter. Gets a stick on the 3rd chance. The 4th one hits Mike Richter. As soon as the play wraps around again, Uhlin finds himself with another opportunity. Popovich directs it back at Richter. It hits Richter, and there's Uhlin again for the 6th or possibly 7th chance. We had to stop counting because there are other players out there as well.
Oh, and another magnificent save by Richter right from the face-off. Whoa, is this boy hot?
Face-off, so critical. Big glove save by Richter right off the draw.
That eludes Blomsten on the far point. Looking for Ackerström on this side. It comes deep, and the Swedes and the Americans with a man in the box each for 54 seconds now will have a chance to wind down while the net is put back on its moorings.
Tommi Söderström just sort of turtled and ducked underneath the net. Ed Olczyk had come in and spun it around. Olczyk not being pushed into the net, trying to gain a stride on the Swedish defense behind the goal. Pulled it off himself, so the face-off will come outside of the Swedish zone.
Big Arto Blomsten directing traffic out there for the Swedes, puts it up to Rundqvist. Rundqvist has to double back. The pass over to Ackerström. Ackerström, a rink-wide pass. Not a great one, but the Swedes somehow come up with a puck, and that comes back through Blomsten's stick, and they'll do it all over again. Ackerström on the near side sets up in front of the goal. The Americans with Eddie Olczyk running interference. Rundqvist feeds it through. Anderson at the blue line being shadowed by Burt. Burt stays with him. Olczyk goes after him. Rundqvist now. 16 seconds on the coincidental penalties. Both teams trying to change on the fly. 10 seconds on the penalties. Ackerström and Blomsten still throwing it around out there. Nylander handed it off, and he breaks towards the net. Both teams now back at full strength as the Swedes continue to play with the puck out there. Doug Waits will have something to say about it as he tries to set him free. A 2-on-1 situation. The shot almost came in from Sacco, and it was directed behind the net. Sacco has a man out front. Sacco is dumped behind the net. Nylander unable to get the puck. Forsberg now. Forsberg breaking through. Can he split the defense? No. Forsberg taken into the corner and brought down. Richter stays on him. Forsberg, oh, big hit on Beers. Sacco mixes it up in the corner, all the way back. That shot took a deflection from Stillman's stick, and that goes upstairs, and the Americans decide to shoot it down the ice to take the pressure off.
Good forechecking by the Swedes all over the Americans. The little guy again, Nylander, you can't help but like him. Wherever he is on the ice, the Americans really need to glue a blue shirt to him. He can make things happen, and as soon as he gives the puck up, he really gets into an opening to get it back.
The Americans looking very, very susceptible on defense at times. The Swedes, with so many prolific goal scorers out there, would score still 2 apiece here in the second period. The Americans relying heavily at this stage on Richter as Drury breaks. Drury working up with Johnson. Drury slams on the break, speeds it through the circle, picked up by Plant. Plant has Johnson in front. Plant looking to go back to the blue, gets it back in front. Johnson is there, taken out of the play by Popovich. Popovich towering over Johnson. That's left right in the circle. Shot from a sharp angle, took a deflection, and the Americans sending in 2-3 forwards at times to forecheck. Richter back for the Americans. 6 minutes on the period. Howard having problems with Berglund. The Americans coming forward. Johnson on the left wing, taken out of the play. Nilsson gathers that, taps it forward. Naslund. One little move, 2 little moves. Richter takes him out of the play, but that's going to cost him 2.
Mike Richter gives Barry Richter a tap on the pads as if to say, don't worry about it. Good try. Naslund trying to turn Barry Richter inside out, put 2 or 3 lovely moves on him. Richter puts the grab on him, and the Swedes will go to the power play.
Take a look at this again. Richter getting the grab here, as you indicated, Richard.
Richter staring right into the chest of Naslund, exactly what a defenseman's supposed to do. Naslund is like a greased eel out there, though, trying to slip back into the inside after he pulled the puck around him. Richter holding him just enough in the referee's eyes to get a holding penalty.
Richter, who plays his hockey at the University of Wisconsin, still only 22 years old, drafted by Hartford, number 2. Right out front, a chance from a sharp angle. Olczyk picks it up in the corner, can only get it as far as the blue line. Working on this side is Stillman. The pass doesn't come his way, and the Americans happy to put it out amongst the whites and get it down the ice. Power play situation as Olczyk and Turcotte run interference up front. Ullin waiting on the near side. The Americans rattle that off the boards and send the Swedes chasing once again.
The Swedes are rated 4th on the power play. They've scored 4 power play goals so far.
Nilsson got that one forward. This will be an easy one for the Americans as they get it out of the zone. Less than 5 minutes on the period, coming up to the last minute of the penalty. The Americans now with Darian Hatcher rubbing his man out along the boards. Pushed into the corner. Working there is Larson. Larson gets it all the way back on the hash marks now. It's Anderson. Anderson slows it down. A lot of movement from the Swedes. Richter comes out and makes the save on Anderson. Waite will get there first. He does enough to tip it out over the blue line as Renberg brought it in. Stillman throws it to the far side. Still a power play situation. Stillman with a cheeky little pass through a crowd, got it forward. Renberg breaks for the corner. Rundqvist from the top of the circle, looking to get it back to Popovich, and that didn't work.
The Swedes being forced along the boards. The Americans are doing a good job on the penalty kill.
Anderson puts it into the corner. The return pass around to this side. Comes all the way back to the top of the circle. Rundqvist now. Rundqvist delays his pass, throws it over. Popovich calling for back of the blue. That doesn't happen. And the Americans back at full strength. A lot of clutching and grabbing in the corner, but no shots on goal as Renberg gets it back to Anderson. Anderson with a fake. Big hit on Anderson. The loose puck comes to this side of the rink, and the Americans now have it. Try to get it out. Popovich, a weak shot, whistles by the corner. Hatcher is brought down. Whoa, that's going to be a penalty. The goaltender comes out of the net, and the Americans will go with the man advantage as the clock winds down in the second period.
Darian Hatcher hooked on the play. Renberg not convinced. The Swedes are going to be shorthanded. It stays an even battle between these two teams. One takes a penalty. That was the U.S. earlier. They survived. Can the Swedes kill this one off? They've got a man in the box now. Hatcher with a quick spin behind his goal. Renberg just barely gets the stick in, but it's enough to pull the legs out from under Hatcher.
Power play situation for the Americans. Neither team has been able to come up with a shorthanded goal. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, though. Gaudreau pumps it to the far side. The Americans with a chance to shine here. They've got the man advantage. Turcotte takes it in the corner with Olczyk. Modano is out there. Gaudreau back at the blue line. They're using the big forward. Olczyk pumped that along, and it eventually bobbles down into American territory. Gaudreau comes up, puts it on the wing. Here come the Americans. Turcotte. It goes off the boards. It's Blumson who's back in there. Dolan is waiting out front for the puck to come his way. It doesn't happen. The Americans now trying to set it up. They're unable to set it with Ackerström. Ackerström doing a great job of getting back and flipping it down the ice. The Americans unable to settle down on this power play situation.
They aren't being allowed to settle down up front. 17 Dolan and 22 Berglund were all over him right near the blue line.
Weinrich overskated that. Gaudreau on the boards. Monty flips it over to the far side, and Rundqvist is the only one there. Rundqvist, with 52 seconds on the penalty, will go for a skate. We're into the last 2 minutes of this game, or this period rather, and it's 2-2. Right out front, and the Swedes are doing a great job of killing off this penalty. Anderson hangs onto it, tips it forward, not a great move by him, and back comes Sacco. Sacco puts it right out front. The tip there didn't come from Waite. Waite found himself right in front. Waite now has got Beers back at the blue line. Everyone backing in on the goalie from close in. Podine is there. Waite is there. Sacco takes a swipe at it, and Beers can't keep it in.
The Americans did just what they had to do. They've got to work the puck down low. They were getting trapped along the boards or out by the blue line. As soon as it went down low, they created a great chance for themselves by stacking the front of the goal up.
Sacco quickly gets it forward. Amonte breaks through. The Swedes are back at full strength. Waite comes in. Right out of the net is Söderström. Waite coming around the far side. Bounced it off the metalwork. And Waite unable to get it out front. So the Americans, Podine and Co. could take a shot.
Larson with an excellent defensive job to keep Doug Waite from getting the puck to the front of the goal. Waite had the moves on. There were Americans out front, but Larson kept the puck from getting there.
A long time without a whistle out there as the clock winds down here in the second period. 2 apiece. Still a wide open contest. Remember, the winner goes forward. Plante falls down, hangs onto it, and then loses it. He picked that up neatly in neutral ice territory. That's given back to Plante, who's having a whale of a period. Plante muscling with Renberg, and Stillman eventually comes back to slow it down. Ken Holt running interference on Johnson. That's given up to Nilsson. 5 seconds on the period. And that will be it for both teams after 40 minutes of play. The only goal in the second period has come from Turcotte. Beers setting them up. Boy, this one is going to be close. It's building for a great final 20 minutes of play.
You've said it all. Anybody's game, even hockey. Both teams want this one badly. They know it's do or die. Goaltending has been fantastic from both sides. Söderström coming up big when he's had to, and Richter's playing a blinder for the U.S.
Richter from close in on one occasion stopped 7 point-blank shots. Well, we're going to take a break. The teams are going to take a break. We have 20 minutes of ice hockey to come, so stay with us. 2-2 is the score. Anything can happen in this one. Welcome back to the Olympic Hall in Munich. The Americans coming out on the ice, followed by the Swedes. It's a 2-2 game out there, and we've got 20 minutes of ice hockey to go. The winner stays on to fight again. The losers make arrangements for their beach holidays. And that sums it up, doesn't it? It's do or die out there for both teams.
It's been a long season for both teams and each and every player on each side. But they've got a couple more games they desperately like to be involved in, the last one being the gold medal opportunity. The Swedes have been there so many times in the past, and they're the reigning champions right now. The Americans out to prove in this 20 minutes that it at least isn't going to be Sweden that's going after it.
The Americans have picked up over the years 2 gold, 9 silver, and 3 bronze. 4 gold for the Swedes, along with 13 silver and 10 bronze. So the Swedes a lot better at collecting the medals. And as we said, the Swedes are the current world champions. The Americans last won gold in 1960, and back in '62 they picked up a bronze. They haven't seen anything since.
In World Championship play, the Swedes and the Americans last year drew 4-4. In the Olympic Games, 3-3. We do know that they can't draw this one, so there'll have to be a winner.
And unfortunately, there will have to be a loser. Rundqvist, the big center, takes up his position. The Swedes playing from right to left. Waite got it over to the side, and that comes all the way back into Swedish territory. Gaudreau puts it in behind the goal. Hatcher finds himself way out of position out there. Hatcher trapped inside the line, and the Americans come out to clear the zone to avoid the offside. Coming up now is Rundqvist. Rundqvist bangs that off the backboards. The Americans take a swipe at that. That seems to be caught up in the corner. Coming down now. 2-2 game out there. Anderson along the board, spun around by Hatcher. Anderson is dropped. Hooking is the call.
This is certainly the area that Tim Taylor has told the boys, let's stay out of penalty trouble. The Americans got in that kind of problems against the Germans, and they paid. They're in a tie game early in the third period. They don't want to start taking silly penalties. Hatcher's got Anderson taken out. Doug Waite is involved. There are 2 or 3 players from both sides trying to push the action toward the goal. The Americans end up with a penalty as Doug Waite brings his man down. Hooking on Doug Waite, the Swedes with a man advantage.
Face off to the right of Richter as he looks down the ice. That comes all the way back to the blue. Anderson keeps it in for Sweden. Taps up to Berglund. Back to Anderson. Back to Berglund. A lot of action in front of the net. Big shot. Ricochets over to the far corner. Nylander dancing along the blue line with the puck. Anderson called for it. Berglund gets it. Bangs it off the backboards. It goes over to the far side. Nylander finds Anderson. Anderson up to Berglund, right in front. That's in the net. Ulf Dahlin, power play goal. It didn't take him long.
Dahlin being watched in front of the goal certainly showed that it wasn't going to bother him. He's been roughed up enough playing for Minnesota in the NHL this year. Stepped off the plane earlier in these games and grabbed 2 goals in his first appearance for Sweden. Has an all-important go-ahead goal for the Swedes here. Power play opportunity right underneath Richter. Olczyk is too late to try and take him out.
3-2 the score now. 1:12 of the third period. The Swedes put another goal on the scoreboard. They scored within the first few seconds of the first period. They certainly are alive when they come out of that dressing room. I don't know what they're doing in there, but whatever they're doing or whatever they're taking, the Americans need some. 3-2 now. 1:22 gone in the first period. A power play goal. Howard gets it over. The shot. Lazaro gets it away at the last moment. Lazaro picks up the puck. He's hooked off the play. Lazaro backhands it in the corner. And the Americans now with Sacco taking a swipe at it. Lazaro was there. Ackerström comes up with a puck. Ackerström backhands it. Not a great pass from him. That's given right in front. A chance for Sacco. The loose puck is there. Amonte comes in.
Once again, the puck is free, but the Americans unable to do anything with it as they've got a player tied up with Söderström or inside the net. Ackerström and Lazaro exchanging a few complimentary blows after the whistle. Sacco with a step on Blomsten, one hand on the stick, directs it at Söderström, and then his own body goes into Söderström. He's out of the play. He doesn't know where the puck is. It's under, and the Swedes are trying to just keep it under him. Amonte comes in to try and put it behind him and Söderström, but it's not going to happen. The Americans are still down by one.
Söderström, who played 44 games with the Philadelphia Flyers, hanging on to that puck as the Americans knock on the door here in the third period. Tapped all the way up. Nilsson got it over on the wing. Berglund spins himself around, gives it to Nilsson. Nilsson on the backhand side is dispossessed on the blue line, and the Americans, with Turcotte being taken off the play by Ullin. Modano tries to feed it through, eventually elects to go along the boards. The return pass goes all the way back to the blue. Kept in by Beers. Big hit there. Turcotte and Modano starting to rough it up in the corner. Modano eventually gets it back. And Beers working it up to Modano. Beers gets it back on the blue line again. Ullin getting forward for the Swedes. This guy can play hockey. Beers, who's been involved in both the American goals, got that forward. Olczyk couldn't get a handle on it. Big shot coming in after the whistle.
The puck hitting his stick and Olczyk going offside. The U.S. can't let up. They've got to go harder now.
Remember that tonight, live on Eurosport, the Germans take on the Russians. The Germans will be playing in front of a capacity crowd here in Munich against the Russians. The Germans ended second in their group, the Russians third. Hatcher against Rundqvist, still with Hatcher. Hatcher leaves it there. Waite spins. Waite has no one out front to go to. And now Gaudreau moves in. Burt moves in, gives it back. Waite is there behind the goal. Waite trying to come to this side. Eventually elects to go to the other side. Popovich stays on him. Podine takes a hit along the boards, but the Americans still hang on to the puck. The wraparound doesn't come. You could see the idea was right, but the Swedes were onto it right from the start.
Excellent hockey by both teams. The Americans, rather than throwing a Hail Mary pass into the slot and getting caught with too many men in deep or risking going back toward the blue line, keep the puck down low. That's what they should be doing. The Swedes, to their credit, are really boxing it up and making it difficult for the Americans to try any wraparounds.
Long shot is batted down, and if you're watching this on your TV screens and you're not getting dizzy, then you're a better man than I am. Boy, it's difficult to watch a hockey game from upstairs looking down at the top of their heads. Amonte clears it away. Howard takes the shot in the corner. Lazaro gets it all the way back. Big shot going by Söderström. And that comes all the way back to the blue line. And both teams going for the change out there as the Americans apply a little pressure. Howard well behind his net. Howard brings it up on the left side. The Americans trailing by one, hit the blue line. Coming up in numbers. Amonte being shadowed there by Ackerström took it off, gives it up to Nylander. Nylander handed it off to Dahlin. The shot comes, they score! 4-2 now. Dahlin, Ackerström, Nylander, all instrumental in setting that one up.
Once again, we see a defenseman going forward. Ackerström getting involved in the play. Nylander, who we've given enough praise for one night, lays it off nicely. The puck comes across to big 28, Ackerström, and with a one-timer, he beats Mike Richter.
Setting him up on the far side. Richter reaching across the goal, unable to get a handle on it. 4-2 now the score here in the third period. The Swedes have increased their lead. Coming up to the 5-minute mark. Still lots of hockey to go. If you're an American fan, don't leave your TV sets yet. This one is still wide open. Forsberg on the far side. Taps it in front. Going after it is Bergqvist, and that comes out of the zone.
The U.S. has certainly got their work to do now. They're down by 2. There's a lot of time in this period, but they're going to have to really put 2 men forward and force the play. The defense will probably start trying to hold the blue line a bit stronger.
Turcotte losing out to Naslund. Naslund going in. Naslund tried to do a little cheeky move and bring it up on the short side. Beers going up against Nilsson. The shot from close in. Richter is there. Modano picks up the rebound and just shoots it out of the zone. The Americans are in trouble.
With an average age of 23, we've gone on and on about how quick the Americans are and how young they are. The Swedes look much faster and sharper at the moment.
Nilsson off the boards in the far corner. Burt picks that up beside the goal. Burt trying to get away from Lunin. Gives it to Plant. Plant throws it up on the wing, but look at the way the Swedes are closing them down. Nilsson quickly gets in there to shoot it into the zone. Hatcher leaves that. The return pass, and Darian Hatcher now. The Americans happy to flip it high. Söderström has problems with that. Drury coming in late. And Plant also getting in with a stick. Those high flicks, if they take a bounce, can land on the edge of the puck and can go right, left, down, up. Difficult one for a goaltender or anyone who's played baseball to handle. So the goaltender will try to get out there before the thing has a chance to take the weird and wonderful bounce.
Just before the puck is dropped, Söderström always tends to back into his goal, then come out. It's probably something that he has as a superstition.
Waite, a big hit behind the goal. That comes back to Howard. Howard pumps it into Waite. Waite trying to get it away from Ackerström. Ackerström has been so solid on defense. The loose puck in front, that's tipped away. Waite is buzzing all around that goal. The shot well wide of the target. And you can see the Swedes are stacking the front of that net. Anderson gets a big hook from Waite. That comes all the way down to Richter. Tipped into the corner. The Americans now trying to get it out of their zone. Gaudreau unable to get it through to Richter. And the Americans with Howard started up again. The shadow comes from Renberg. Some good stuff from Anderson. And as he meets his opposite number right on the red line. This is what the Swedes have been doing. Both teams going for a change of personnel out there. Sacco dropping it back. Podine takes the shot. Amonte couldn't get the rebound. Back on the attack. Anderson up on the left. Breaks into center. Anderson gets round his man. Anderson shooting it in. Nylander goes in after it now. And the Americans breaking out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Weinrich hits the red line. Lazaro looking for the pass. That didn't happen. Weinrich gets it over onto the right side. Big shot there coming from Amonte. That hits the blocker. Söderström puts that up for a souvenir for someone here in Munich.
The Americans have got to keep shooting and keep going hard for the rebounds. The Swedes are attacking with one man. But that one man is generally somebody like Nylander or Naslund, and they are still creating a certain amount of problems for the American defense as they're trying to get out of their own end. Shot from Tony Amonte, good quick snapshot going high and off the deflector glove of Söderström.
Amonte right behind Mark Messier, 1 and 2 in the New York Rangers scoring table. Amonte with 33 goals and 43 assists. Not a bad season for a second-year man. Rattled off the boards. Burt gets a stick on it and pumps it right back into Söderström's doorstep. And the Swedes are going to play a little of dump and go. And that comes down, a chance for Dahlin. Dahlin goes right in, tries to poke it in. A shot again, and Richter was there. Nylander came up. Dahlin, so cheeky. Richter must have thought he was going to go around the goal. Lazaro feeds it across for Sacco. Sacco doubles back. Hatcher can't keep it in the zone. Sacco picks it up on the red line.
The Americans still trying to dump it in and go get it. The Swedes are really starting to tie him up as the men away from the puck are trying to get in there. Good smart defense by the Swedes. They're picking him off.
Again, Olchuk takes a swipe at it, but again he misses it. Howard takes a shot. That bounces right beside the net. Olchuk is in there in a hurry. And the Swedes were the last to touch that. Eddie Olchuk has found himself in front of the net on 2 occasions now, and he's taken 2 big swings at that little black rubber disc, and he's missed it completely on both occasions.
Dahlin going in at Richter. Waits and waits. He's got Nylander coming up behind him. Finally runs out of room. It's a good thing Richter lost his balance and was leaning on the post, because it came to his rescue as Nylander tried to put it right in on the near side again.
That's a difficult one for a goaltender. You know, you got the post there, you've got your pad in the way, your skate, and it always seems to be a couple of inches where you can squeeze it through. You got to press hard against that post without knocking it off its moorings, and you got to keep that skate firmly there. Modano from a sharp angle going for Söderström, looking for a goal from just about the red line. Perhaps a deflection. Lumsden can't get it out of the zone. Beers can't keep it in. Weinrich can only get it up as far as Forsberg, and that eventually trickles back to the Swedish defense. Ackerström working with Blomsten. Delivered right back into Swedish territory, going back quickly, and there is Modano. Modano keeps it in nicely. Modano with a chance now. Gets the shot, the one-timer there. Modano set it up nicely. Modano goes into the corner, tries to get it out front. That didn't bounce his way, and the Swedes now come back on the attack. Forsberg waiting for support. Forsberg along the boards. Beers takes him out of the play. Weinrich hangs onto it too long. Weinrich being smothered out of the play. Naslund coming back. Olchuk is there. And we approach the midway point of this third and final period. 10 minutes, 10 seconds. 4-2 the score. The Swedes are leading the Americans, and both teams seem to have slowed down here in this section of the third period. The shot, Richter way out of his net. Another shot coming in. Larson taking a bite of the cherry. Beers throws it up on the wing. A big pass. Stillman gets back. Gaudreau breaks in. Offside is the call.
Certainly the idea was right. The puck was pushed forward. One American ended up tied up with the defense right at the blue line. Gaudreau thought he was off to the races, but the puck was not ahead of the player going into the Swedish zone, and the Americans are called for offside.
A lot of Swedish support here in Munich. Wait till you see the Germans against the Russians tonight. Hauer. Big shot in. Söderström comes out. Stillman is back in there. Long clearance out through the neutral zone all the way down the ice, and this is an important face-off coming up for the Americans. They need to win it. They need to pop a goal to bring themselves back into this one. They trail by 2. 4-2 the score. Winner stays, loser goes.
Face-offs become so important, especially when you're down by 2 goals. The positioning is vital. The Americans want to make sure they've got it sorted out. They currently are ahead of the Swedes percentage-wise on face-offs, 53% to 49%. But every draw is critical. They want to get men going to the goal and get some shots off from the blue line. That means those forwards are going to tie people up on the face-off.
From the face-off, the Americans get it back. Gaudreau tees it up, takes a shot, and misses the far corner. Richter has to go back into neutralized territory. Richter having problems. Richter loses the puck, a chance. Right in front, Renberg causing all sorts of problems for Richter out there. Richter just couldn't get himself back into the game. Renberg knew exactly what he was doing.
A close escape for Barry Richter. Couldn't find the handle on the puck. Slams the brakes on Renberg. Like the rest of the Swedes, so cheeky on the poke check. Cuts in hard. Renberg is a big guy for a 20-year-old. Can't beat Mike Richter, as Barry Richter saying his prayers.
That ended up on the mesh after a Swedish stick had touched it, and so the faceoff comes out into neutralized territory. Rundqvist gets set for the Swedes. Tonight, Germany against Russia, as I've already indicated. Tomorrow, Canada takes on Finland, and the Czechs go against the Italians. We said late last night, after the Italians had got through in the Final Four, that the Swiss were there. That was a mistake, of course. One of our technicians, getting a little excited in the heat of the moment, put up the Swiss on the caption. And yours truly duly read it, but I meant the Italians all along. Sacco. Sacco now hits the blue. Sacco feeds it right through the shot. Oh, Sacco doing a great job of setting that one up. The Americans unable to complete the play. Amante and Sacco 1-2, but unable to come up with a goal. Sacco will try it again. Sacco hits the blue. He makes the little move just before the blue line. Nobody else knew he was going that way, and Amante went offside.
Sacco trying to give Amante his second chance of the shift. Lazaro showing a little frustration, getting involved with one of the Swedes. A good shift, but no finish. Sacco on the move, laying the puck off nicely for Amante as he's got 2 or 3 steps on everybody from Sweden. The backhander goes wide, and the Swedes are still in front by 2 goals.
Face-off in neutralized territory. Modano and Berglund. They're starting to put the wave together here in Munich. Modano tries to go through Berglund. That doesn't happen. Beers calling for it on this side. He gets the pass over, throws it back behind the net. The shadow comes from Nylander. And here comes Beers. Beers pass up on the left wing, goes through, looking for Modano. Olczyk was cruising on the red line. Nylander decides to double back, thinking that Dolan had gone offside. That's thrown in. Richter waits. Beers gets there first, and Beers starts it up. Beers has been a big plus back on the U.S. defense. Beers hits the blue line on the far side. The shot comes in with Modano getting a piece of it. 12:04 gone now in the period. Less than 8 minutes on the clock. Dolan has a chance down the right side. Dolan waiting for Nylander. Comes all the way back. A chance for Anderson. Anderson trying to go for the short side. Richter got back, but the shot missed the net. Nylander picks it up. Throws it back in the corner.
The Swedes all over the U.S., letting the first guy go through to the net, then hitting the trailer. The Americans have to be careful about that third man coming into the picture.
Icing the call as both teams take the short changes out there. Short shifts are the order of the day.
The easiest thing in the world to do is to chase the puck carrier or go for the net. You've got to be careful of that third man coming in. The Swedes are so clever at creating that flow, then laying it off for somebody who's hanging back.
We've talked so many times about mobile defensemen, and it was back in '72 when the Canadians first got a real good look at the Russians that they saw how defense should be played. And now we're seeing the Swedes so adept at that too. Drop back, Bergqvist got it back to the blue line. The Swedes with the big boys out there, Popovic, Nilsson, Blomsten, all these guys can motor from the defensive position. They can score goals. Chasing is Maslin, and it's picked up on the far side. Gaudreau, Podine is out front being roughed up by Blomsten. Podine comes up with a puck, and Forsberg takes him out of the play. Waite comes in, sees it just lying there. Waite has it, can't get anything working out front, tries to go deep, and that takes the deflection all the way down the ice.
Swedes really starting to play the body in their own defensive zone. All over the blue shirts, there's always a yellow one.
Richter got it forward. The Americans shoot it in. Going back forward is Kenneth Kinholz. Waite doing the forechecking. 1-2-3 Swedes at the red line. Nilsson couldn't hang on to that. That's tapped through, and the Americans losing a lot as they hit the line. Ullin takes the shot, and that went off Richter in the far corner. The whistles, the jeers, and the whistle goes for a penalty. Ullin was brought down.
I was just about to say the Americans need to turn it around with a goal, get the right break, and create some kind of momentum for themselves. They aren't going to do it this way. Adam Burt will go to the penalty box for pulling Ullin down. The Americans not only need to kill the penalty off, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get somebody out there to try and get some offense going while they're down a man.
Ullin coming close despite being dumped just as he let the shot go. So Burt sits for 2, and the Americans trailing by 2. Face-off deep in American territory with Berglund going into the face-off circle against Sacco.
Nylander with the puck. He's the guy the Americans have got to watch for. If he isn't shooting, he's setting somebody else up.
Anderson puts it in there. Dolan is in there. Power play goal. Dolan right in front. The high sign. It didn't take him long yet again.
The Swedes have taken control of this game in the third period. There is still time left, but I'm not too pleased about you putting me on the spot, Paul, and making me pick the U.S. to win this one convincingly in the third. The Swedes of the power play. Richter doesn't know where the puck is. There's traffic in front of him. Dolan comes in and touches it for goal number 5. Puck directed down low nicely. The first shot taken from Berglund. Richter can't come up with it. Beers can't come up with Dolan, and he's got the goal.
Dolan picks up his second goal of the game. Second power play goal of the game. My prediction is looking good right now. 5-2 the score. 6 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the game. You want to change your prediction? Big shot off the backboards, and Rundqvist rattles that off the board. Touched by a high stick, and that's going to go all the way down the ice.
There's still plenty of time left. Any of these teams in this tournament can strike 3 times in 6 minutes. No question in my mind that they're not capable of it, but will it happen? Lundmark making sure that offensively and defensively, his team know what they're doing before they go out on the ice. Every shift, he's having a word with the boys.
The Swedes don't really care what they do in the first round as long as they get through to the second round. They're not here to impress anybody until the final game. Right now, they're impressing me with their strength and their goal-scoring ability. They're playing some intelligent hockey out there. That's not going to help the Americans. 10 minutes for Olczyk.
At least they won't play short-handed. That's a personal penalty Olczyk has taken. Not a good move from him.
The Swiss referee, Vincent Marino, not putting up with any of Olczyk's capers. A loose puck in front. Richter tried to get it. And Sacco eventually gets the pass forward. Sacco hangs onto it, puts it right in front. Lazaro was there. And Olczyk will be out of the rest of this game. Rundqvist throws it up onto the right side. The Swedes looking more and more powerful as this one goes on. Anderson slams on the brakes. Rundqvist feeds it into the corner. A misunderstanding there. And Weinrich picks it up. Beers on the wing. Beers takes the long shot. And it would appear that the steam has been taken out of the Americans' attack, losing Olczyk and trailing by 3 goals here in the third. Boy, they're up against it. Some good, tough fighting there from Nylander as Dolan goes up on the backhand side. Dolan has Stillman, decides to hang onto it. White hangs onto him. Nylander gets it out front. No one there with a yellow shirt on to pick it up. Waite gathers at the blue. Waite, a nice little tip forward. Wrist shot coming in off of Burtz, and that took a deflection. The Americans right out front. Podine takes the shot. Söderström makes the save.
Good save by Söderström. A great opportunity for Schodin to pull one back for the U.S.
Gaudreau gets it out front. Podine goes to the far side. And the Swedes, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys hitting the blue line. My Lord, have they come down in numbers. Big shot there coming from Tenholt. Misses the net. Richter pushes a man underneath the crossbar. Ackerström tries to get himself out of there. Correction, Nylander gets himself out of there.
Well, we'll call that even. I've just realized I called Podine Schodin. Schodin is one heck of a hockey player from Sweden. Podine is American, and he's wearing a blue shirt and wearing number 23. He came close at the Swedish end of the ice. Mr. Nylander, that's one way for the Americans to try and take him out. Let's push him in the goal behind Richter and leave him in there. I assure you he won't stay in there for long. The pressure coming right back at Mike Richter in a hurry. Fortunately, the fourth man up was Kunholt, and he did take it like a defenseman, not getting too well into the offensive play.
Less than 4 minutes on the clock. 5-2 the score. The Americans up against it here. Modano trying to get through. Modano hits the red line. Drury taken out of the plate. And it really could be all over for the Americans. Trailing by 3. The Swedes will do what they have to do to keep the puck out of the zone and prevent quality shots being taken on Söderström. Richter is grabbed. Drury comes back to pick it up. Drury giving it over to Howard. Howard, a giveaway pass to Forsberg. Forsberg couldn't hang on to it. And a lot of play now in the neutral zone, which will help the Swedish attack.
You see that coming a mile away. Marcus Naslund trying to take the big wind-up. The Americans getting a stick on the puck, directing it over the plexiglass. With play slowing up, it is getting sloppy in the neutral zone. A bounce here and a bounce there. The Swedes seem to end up with the puck. It's the way things have gone for them in the third period.
No shortage of blue and yellow support out there. Flags, painted faces, you name it, they got it. Lumsden will tap it into the corner. Keep the puck in this end of the rink is the strategy. Nilsson going up against Weinrich. That skates away from Ulen, and the Americans back on the attack now. Breaking on the right side, the pass doesn't come. The intended receiver was Lazaro, and the Americans with Beers back in his own zone have to start it out again.
Swedes playing it smart. One guy not really forcing that hard. The other two forwards playing a zone, covering their wings.
Sacco right in front, the tip. Sacco again setting it up nicely, unable to put the puck in the net. The Americans with Lazaro behind the goal. Coming up to the final 2 minutes, Amonte puts it across in front of the goal, and that's picked up by Jan Larson. Time ticking down. Lazaro bats that. Sacco gets it. Amonte wants it. Amonte is out front. The pass doesn't come his way, and Ulen gets it up to Nilsson. Nilsson against Beers. The Swedes doing the intelligent thing out there by just killing off his clock. Amonte takes a swipe at Larson. Beers is dumped, and play is whistled down as everyone gets the stick in. And now is not the time to start to lose it for either team.
Pizarro coming close, as I'd mentioned, the good coverage by Sweden defensively. The U.S. on that shift doing the right thing. You've got to skate and skate hard to try and beat that kind of defensive play. The breaks just aren't going for them. The Swedes have struck 3 times. That's all they've needed to have a 3-goal cushion as we came into this final 20 minutes dead even.
I think it's fair to say that the Swedes have more depth than the Americans on this occasion. Less than 2 minutes now on the clock. The Swedish fans starting to celebrate, perhaps a little early, as the Americans clear the zone. But they feel that this one is in their record books. The Swedes will go on into the next round if they can hang on to this 3-goal lead. Down on the wing, Anderson being taken out of the play by Gaudreau. Again, Gaudreau goes after Anderson. Renberg tries to wrap it around as that trickles out over the blue line. Stillman will go for a skate. Stillman over to Rundqvist. That bounces over his stick, and Gaudreau picks it up, puts it on the wing to Podine. Podine flips it through, and the Americans unable to make contact in front of that goal. The victory song with Madonna along the boards is being voiced in the background by the Swedish supporters. They've come here expecting gold again, and at this point, it's fair to say they're on their way. Tonight, Germany take on the Russians, and the Russians are starting to get their game together, and the Germans are looking good. Of course, they'll have 11,000 supporters willing them on for the entire 60 minutes of the game. Tomorrow, Canada against Finland in the afternoon. The Czechs against the Italians, who captured that 4th and final spot in Pool A.
Coach Mike Keenan from Canada did say that the first round meant nothing. Everybody talking about Canada with 5 straight victories. You've said it earlier, Paul, that this is the round that counts. The Swedes showing their true class, struggling with a couple of teams early on. But the Americans, who generally play full of heart and spirit, being taught a lesson here by Sweden that could happen very well the same way with the Germans. They play with a lot of desire. They've got the home crowd. The Russians are smooth and slick. The Germans are going to have to be careful as well.
Well, I'm getting up for that one. But right now, this one is winding down. The Americans, perhaps one last attempt at a shot at goal. Rodano goes in quickly against Anderson. As that shot all the way down the ice, going back for it, the Americans. Howard brings it up on the near side. Howard picking up a head of steam, getting away from number 26, Nylander. Over to the far side, Popovich still roughing it up. Popovich squaring off with Turcotte. 12 seconds on the clock. 1 or 2 last-minute hits out there just to let everybody know that they can play physical hockey as well as good scoring hockey. The Americans, with weight shooting the puck down the ice, have lost this one. Renberg for Sweden started it off. Beers tied it up, and then Forsberg made it 2-1 at the end of 20 minutes of play. Turcotte leveled the score in the second period, but it was all Sweden in the third and final period. Dahlin, Ackerström, and Dahlin again. That's the way it ends up. 5-2, a brilliant performance for the Swedes. Kurt Lundmark, who's taken over as head coach, is happy.
A well-deserved victory for Sweden. Coming out of it with a victory that they earned in the third and final period. I said it before, after 40 minutes of play, both teams showing that they wanted the next game. The Swedes pulling away, though, in the third and final period. Their forwards were cute. They were clever up front. Their defense is strong and quick. They put a lot of pressure on the Americans, and the breaks didn't go